So welcome to Open Enrollment. Again, Dan Toner, the health insurance broker for Executive Cellular Phones. On the screen, you'll see a memo that we put together this year, same as what we do every year, with putting, telling people and communicating. Can hear you loud and clear. Thank you. So telling people what we're doing and communicating about the plans. We're staying with Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield for this year. They gave us a pretty decent increase, over 20%. So that's hard to swallow for sure. So we did some negotiating. We looked at the market. Executive actually increased their contribution levels. And ultimately, we're going to go over the three plans that we elected. It is the best insurance for us by cost and benefit by far. So we are going to remain with Horizon. There's a couple of changes on 2 out of the 3 plans we're going to go over. On the screen, you see the waiting period. The memo talks about who's eligible for insurance. It also talks about the benefit portal we use. We use a website called bernieportal.com, BERNIE portal.com. That's where you can go on and see all the plan offerings and benefits. And I'm going to go do a quick little demo of that while we're during today's call. Sorry. Also, you'll see 3 different plan choices that we're having for Horizon. What's important to know is preventative care. If you get your annual wellness visit, those are 100% covered. The deductibles or copays, any liability you have for an office visit is waived if it's an annual well visit. Also, none of the plans require referrals to see a specialist. So you can go right to a specialist that's in network and pay a copay as opposed to having to go to your primary care, PCP, and get a referral. All of the plans also have national access. So while Horizon is located here in New Jersey, if you live in Massachusetts or New York or Pennsylvania or Connecticut, in other words, another state outside New Jersey, you can use what's called the Blue Card on all 3 plans, which means you can see your local Blue Cross carrier. In New York, it would be Anthem, for example, and see the PPO network, and you would be in network. So that's a national rider that all 3 plans have. Any deductions are taken out of your paycheck on a pre-tax basis. Now we're going to dive into the plans. Plan 1 is a high deductible HSA plan. Very similar to what we had before. There's a little note in italics about the change that was made. I'm going to talk about that when we get into the summaries. Plan 2 is another in-network only plan. That's a little richer in coverage, so it's a little higher in price. And Plan 3 is our most expensive plan because it allows you to go to an out-of-network, meaning a doctor that doesn't take Blue Cross. So I'm going to pull up on the screen now a copy of and this is on bernieportal.com, by the way, a little summary we put together every year about the 3 different plans. Plan 1, Plan 2, and Plan 3. So Plan 1 is called the EPO HSA 13 with Blue Card. The 13 is just a number. We had Plan 11 last year. The plan has a $2,500 deductible if you're a single, doubled if you have dependents. That means you have, outside of well visits, you have to pay the Blue Cross discounted amount up to the first $2,500 if you're a single. Doctor visit may cost $150, but the Blue Cross rate is, let's say, $60. You would pay the $60 and offset your $2,500 deductible. Once you meet the deductible, and by the way, that deductible was the same as last year. Once you meet that deductible, then you only have to pay $20, which is your primary doctor copay, or $40 if you see a specialist. At the pharmacy, after you meet your deductible, you'll pay $15 for generic and either $35 or $50 for name brand. Some are called preferred, you'd pay $35. Some are called $50 that are non-preferred, and on the Horizon website, it tells you which drugs are which. The one change that we made this year was after you meet that $2,500 single or the $5,000 family deductible, when you go for things like emergency room, radiology, hospital, or surgery, you're required to pay 30% of the bill. Horizon's going to pick up 70%. Now, it sounds worse than it is because the 30% that you're paying plus the $2,500 you had to meet before in the form of deductible can never be more than $5,000. That's called your maximum out of pocket. That's the same out of pocket we had last year. So they're still guaranteeing that from January through December 31st, your worst case scenario, if you're a single, can never be more than 5,000. The plan does work on a calendar year basis, not plan year. So even though we renew in September, Blue Cross always has their customers resetting deductibles and out-of-pockets on January 1. If you met any deductible, the good news is on September 1, it doesn't reset. So it's still factoring in what you met prior to September 1. If you look at the bottom, you'll see, for example, if you're a single, the contribution is $71.78. That's very similar. It's a couple dollars higher than was last year. That's important to us to keep relatively the same structure, a low-cost plan from affordability, nationwide plan. And by the way, since this is an HSA plan, you can go to a private bank, your own personal bank, and put away money in the form of an HSA. So the HSA is actually a bank card that you can voluntarily open and put away anywhere from $3,550 for a single to $7,100 a month for a year for a family. That's why people buy HSAs. They save money in premium and they put away pre-tax money in a private account. You're welcome to call me at any time with questions on that. You don't have to open a bank account. Plan 2 is the same plan that we had last year, an EPO, meaning in-network, no referrals. You can go out of network, by the way, if you have an emergency, just like on Plan 1. But if you don't have an emergency, you have to stick with a Blue Cross provider. It's a little bit more expensive because you're getting richer coverage in the form of an office visit. The deductible is waived for things like doctor visits, where it's $30. It's waived for a specialist, which is $50. It's waived for pharmacy, meaning you only owe $15, $50, or $75, depending on the tier that it falls in. The deductible is waived. Things like x-ray and lab work, the deductible is waived. The deductible on this plan is also only $1,000. That's why the premium's a little higher. And that applies to major bills like an MRI, a CAT scan, a PET scan, we call that radiology, or a hospital or surgery or an emergency room. That's the same $1,000 deductible we had last year that has not changed. What's different this year is after you meet that $1,000 hospital, surgery, and radiology deductible, you are required to pay 20% of the bill. That was a copay last year. Now remember, the out-of-pocket is a key number. This is $3,500. That's the same out-of-pocket as last year. What that means is if you have a $30,000 hospital bill, you owe $1,000 plus 20%, but you can't spend more than $3,500. That's your calendar year guarantee. That's the same out-of-pocket we had last year. So that was important to us to keep the same deductibles, out-of-pockets, doctor copays, pharmacy copays, and keep the premiums pretty close to what you had last year. And I think we were able to do that on Plan 2. On Plan 3, zero change in coverage. You can go in network and pay a copay. Out of network, you have a totally separate benefit. You can go to a you can go to a physician or facility that doesn't accept Blue Cross, but you'll owe a separate deductible of $1,000, 70/30 coverage, and you have a $4,000 out of pocket, completely separate. That premium went up a little bit. It's expensive because you can go out of network. 2/3 of our company has Plan 1 and 2. So there are some of you on Plan 3. There is no change in benefit, just a little cost price, which you can see on the screen and you can see on bernieportal.com. So I'm going to just open this up to questions before we go in. So I'm going to unmute everyone just for a second. All right, so I'm unmuting. Does anybody have any questions on the medical plans before we jump into the Cigna? Nobody?
Will there be a time to ask questions at the end? Because I had one and I forgot it.
Yes, I'll open it up for questions at the end unless you want to ask your question now.
No, it left my brain, so I'll have to wait.
All right, so when you think of it, you can let me know. And also, I think you should have my email and from the office, and you can contact me, and I'll make sure you have that before I leave. Okay. All right. So I'm going to.
Hey, Dan.
Yes, Pete.
Pete, one quick question for people that currently have Cigna in the company and are staying on this, on the same plan. Are any ID numbers changing or anything like that? Or are we keeping the same ID numbers that we currently have as long as we stay with the same plan?
Pete, the Cigna hasn't changed. We're going to talk about the Cigna in a second. There's no change in price or coverage for Cigna, so that shouldn't change. Horizon will probably give new ID cards for people on plan 1 and 2 because those are different numbers, Pete. So there's definitely going to be a trigger for people on 1 and 2. You will get a new ID. I don't think people on plan 3 will get an ID. And I say that, Pete, and I wouldn't be surprised if you're on plan 3 and they send ID cards. Sometimes they just do it. It doesn't mean your old card is invalid. But since plan 1 and 2 are changing, they're definitely going to issue ID cards. Plus, if you made a change this year, going from one plan to another, that's going to trigger Blue Cross to send you an ID card.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. All right, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. By the way, we're going to get to it on Burning Portal, but there's a teledoc service that we're going to talk about as well. To avoid having to run to a doctor visit, you can use the 24/7 teledoc with Horizon, and that's a pretty powerful benefit, very popular one in the last few years, where you can go online and talk to a physician. They can order a script for you, and you can run to the pharmacy and pick it up and avoid having to incur an office visit. So we're going to talk about the teledoc flyer. It's on Burning Portal. So before I go into the portal real quick, I'm going to finish with what's on the screen is the vision to the far right, no change in benefit or cost. There are 2 plans from Cigna, a DMO and a PPO. The DMO is an in-network only, and it's based on a fee schedule. That means you pay a flat fee every time you show up, a relatively low fee, but you have to use a Cigna dentist. On the PPO, it's a little bit more money because you can go to any dentist you want and you're getting claims paid on a percentage. Cigna pays a portion, you pay a portion. So you can go to anybody you want and that drives up the price. So that has not changed in price or benefit for this year. Okay. So that being said, what I'm going to do is, Pete, just text me if you can't hear me, but I'm going to mute everyone again. Okay, and I'm going to go over burningportal.com. So on the screen, you can see burningportal.com. I'm listed as a test employee. So when you click begin enrollment, Burning Portal is going to basically, by the way, give you a printout of what you picked the previous year. So if you were on the plan last year, it's going to give you a snapshot and you can see what you elected last year. So when you go in, there's a summary plan description. We want you to take time and read and understand these are employee communications and documents that we want you to read. It talks a little bit about the fact that we're taking out your premiums pre-tax. If you're adding a spouse and dependent, it doesn't mean you're paying for them because when you get to each portion of the portal, it talks about whether or not you want to cover yourself as a single, add your dependent. So if you have dependents, add them, and then you can decide on each product if you want to add them or not. The portal is smart enough to tell you the costs. There's a compliance. There's a whole bunch of documents about notifications about CHIP, the healthcare marketplace. A lot of notifications we want you to look at. There's no cost to it, so the site makes it look like it's free because it is. It's just a compliance. And then you're going to jump into health. You'll notice all 3 plans and a waive. Every single person needs to either enroll or sign a waiver. So if you pick plan 1, the site is there's a shopping cart on the right to show you what your cost is once you make your election. There's a brief description we want you to read about the basics of the plan. And here's the documents right here I'm showing on the screen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 documents, including the memo I talked about, the comparison of the 3 plans, the actual full benefit summary from Horizon, the teledoc, an enrollment kit about how the plan works. Blue 365 is a whole bunch of discount plans they give you because you're a member. And at the bottom, you can click employee only, and it shows you what your cost. If you added dependents, it would show you employee, spouse, family, and you would click and make your election. Then you can go to plan 2 and take a look at that. And then plan 3, it will match the memo that I sent you out. You'll finish with your dental and vision. sign online, and then that secures your open enrollment. The portal is there for you 24/7, by the way, so you can see all of your coverages and benefits. And I know, Pete, earlier this week, I don't think we had the description of the vision, so I went ahead and updated that, as you know, and the vision benefit is right here, called Vision Benefit Summary. So I'm going to open it back up for questions right now. Just give me 1 second. The person who didn't think of their question before, did you remember your question?
Yes, I also have a new question. What's the name of the portal again?
Bernie, BERNIE, portal.com.
We sent an email out with the link for that address, and then also on the intranet site, on our ECP intranet, there is a benefits icon that you can click on that will actually bring you directly to that website from there, just as an FYI.
And
I don't think we have access to our intranet anymore, right? From home? Do we have access to it anymore?
What position are you in? I'm sorry.
Mobile expert. Yeah, just tell us mobile expert.
Yeah, you will not be able to access from home right now. So then you can do that when you're in the store, or you can go to like Dan said, BerniePortal.com, and we'll be able to log in now.
For those listening, I have a copy of the screen up right now, BerniePortal.com, and there's a little login at the top right. When you click login, the executives team has made sure you're in there. Sorry, I'm going to log out because it's logging me back into executive. But when you click the login button, it's going to ask you for your email. If you have forgotten your password, there's a little button that you can click that says forget my password. The site will immediately send, you see right below it says forget password. If you click that, the site will automatically send you an email to go back in and recreate your password. If it says email not recognizable, two things: either you were never entered, or maybe you change your password at some point. You can just contact, in the memo, there's an email that you can reach out to. I'm going to pull up the memo in 1 second. So the memo talks about if there's an exec.cell email, I'm just going to pull it up, benefits@execcell.com. You can email that in case you're having any problems. The management team works with my team to make sure you're in, and that should help. So we've been using the portal for a few years, so it's been pretty successful. You shouldn't have a problem. One last thing.
All right, so this portal.
Sorry, go ahead.
So this portal is for the dental and the regular primary health.
Yeah. So BerniePortal.com, and it's a good segue. Thank you, because I'm on that portion of portals. On the memo, I've reminded people there are 3 portals that you have access to. BerniePortal.com is where executive places all of its benefits. All of the Horizon plans and the Cigna plans are there to show you your costs and links and coverages. Underneath that, it also talks about HorizonBlue.com. Horizon has a website, so you can see, do I need to reorder my ID card, or I want to see my explanation of benefits for a claim that came in, or I want to talk to somebody, customer service, about a claim or a benefit question. You can do that real time. Cigna.com is a website where you can look up dentists and see your claims and print ID card for those that are enrolled in the dental and vision. So you'll have access. And by the way, Bernie Portal has links. So you can go from Bernie Portal to Horizon and to Cigna by clicking a button. But as a member, you certainly have access to 3 sites to give you tons of information about all your coverages. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have another one. So I'm on this Bernie portal right now, and it's asking for a 2-digit code, like a 4-digit code, and an employer code.
So
I don't know if I'm on the wrong side.
You don't need that. You should be able to use your email and password. Are you new, or are you covered today?
I'm new. This is like my first time doing all of this.
Okay. So I believe, Pete, the process is to email benefits@execcell.com to ask for, and then we will add you. Is that correct, Pete? So.
Hey, Dan, it's Dina.
Oh, hi, Dina.
Yeah, they can email benefits@execcell. Hi.
Is
We
that
could do that, and then I'll take a look. If there should only be a small handful of people that are not in the portal, and that's if you just recently started and you haven't actually gotten not even one paycheck yet. If you haven't gotten one paycheck yet, then you won't be in the portal. But if you've gotten a paycheck and you've gone through at least one payroll cycle with us, you'll be in the portal. So
this
there
email
will be
is ECP email or the T-Mobile one?
ECP email.
ECP? Okay, and the regular password for that too, right?
Nope. So it's going to be the last 4 of your social and the month of your birth for your password.
actually, and if that doesn't work, just put in your email and click forget password right underneath it, and then it should send you an email and have you reselect a password.
That
Okay,
hasn't
so I will-
actually been working, Dan.
Okay, perfect.
I think that's all my questions. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. So I'm going to wrap up this call. So I'll end the recording, and I thank you guys. Have a great rest of the week. We're going to keep open enrollment open until next Friday, the 4th. So please go in today, tomorrow, over the weekend, sometime between Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week. Make your elections so we can tell Blue Cross who wants each plan by September 4th. They're giving us a few extra days, even though this plan starts on September 1. That's all I had. Have a great day, and thanks everyone for your time.
All right, thank you,
Thank
Dan.
you, Dan.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Dan.